All right, now we're gonna go to building inspections. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon. So building inspections is one of the departments that falls under operations. And as of Monday, I'd like to introduce the council, the members left of the council, and whoever else is here, to Mr. Philip Heisch. Philip Heisch is now the Director of Building Inspections, and this started a week ago Monday. So wanted to get him some face time to go over the budget and some FaceTime with the council as well. So I'll turn it over to Philip as soon as he gets done turning or passing out all of his attachments. So congratulations, Philip.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate the introduction there, Mr. Miller. I will say I do have some institutional knowledge of the department. December 5th will be 21 years. Miss Finley here, she was 2 weeks hired before myself. So
you've
we've
been
been
here
there going
21
on
years?
21 years, yes, sir.
And finally made it up to the top spot.
Still climbing,
Still climbing.
yes, sir.
Well,
Got high hopes.
if your boss has any more cardiac issues, maybe you'll get his job.
Oh,
Hope
man.
not. Hope not. But
Wow.
fire department's right around the corner.
Yes, it is.
If I didn't like you, I wouldn't pick on you.
I appreciate that.
Well, I need him there for a long time. He's a big help for me so far. So we got a great staff in building inspections, so couldn't do it without the guys and gals that are there now. So they've helped me a lot and put up with me for the past week and 2 days. So I know it's been a rough week for sure. So I appreciate their tolerance. Before you, I've got a quick little summary of what was presented, kind of broke it down to an elementary version, just to make it quick and respect your time. Kind of go down this line item here before we get into any of the capital and operating budget. If you have any questions for that, I'll do my best with that. Number one here is the FEMA grant. That was what was presented by Mr. Shoal Engineering, William Thomas, at the last hearing. That is for 1644 Castlewick Drive and 3501 Ridgecrest Drive. That is a grant for repetitive loss for a land acquisition. Number two is a position upgrade for administrative support. This particular job has shown a lot of attrition over the past 5 years. We've had several staff members come and go in this position. And what we're looking to do now is kind of make this position, we're changing it where we're gonna add to the rear where you have to come back in the department. So she's gonna have a lot larger items in front of her. So we would like to get that position upgraded from a 6 to an 8. That's roughly a $20,000 increase at the top out pay. But this is a job that's really important to the public, and she's going to be the face of that. So we would like to see that increase if possible.
Is she here to make sure that you explain it properly?
She is not.
She is not.
She is not.
I thought maybe you might be she.
I have a brief description of that in the presentation there, showing that the 3 employees that were in this role over the past 5 years, all of those have left due to what I would consider workload. That's a pretty taxed job there. We would like to solidify that with a pay increase and keep Ms. Brantley on staff. Number 3 is a plotter replacement. The one that we have now is at end of life. Per the accounting sales rep, we've reached out to him and he has basically told us that the parts are not available for this particular plotter anymore, that the next failure for this plotter would be a termination point. This particular plotter, we are currently introducing Bluebeam and trying to change the way you can submit plans to the department. Some of these plans are submitted from out of state, and when we mark those plans up deficient, a lot of times they have to mail those back in, which could be a 2-3 week delay, where when this plotter is up and operational, we can charge a fee to print out those 2 plans, put the plans together, stamp them, and then the permittee can pick them up at the window. So this would expedite that process greatly. Currently, we are not offering that because the plotter is constantly down. Even the paint for the plotter is hard to find. So we would like to replace that and get this plotter back up and operational. Number 4 here is a replacement of carpet. So we have about 6 offices and the front desk that the carpet is original to the building. That's about 23 years old. There's a couple of offices where the carpet is completely missing. It's worn. All of these are just a continuous use in basically what we consider construction traffic. The carpet has exceeded its life expectancy and is showing significant wear, making this replacement necessary. So we would like for you to consider that if possible. 5 through 7 is $150,000 for 3 vehicles. We put a small chart in front of you that basically shows the entire fleet that we have. The 3 that we would like to replace are at the top. They're 2014 models, no backup cameras, high mileage, and they really are limping around. So we would like consideration to replace those 3 if possible. And last but not least, number 8 is a building inspection software. I wish I was coming from a place of strength here, but just didn't have a lot of time, so we threw a $150,000 estimate here for a couple of the vendors that we reached out to. The highest one so far was the $150,000 price tag. That was the OpenGov. I'm not sure that's the best one at this time. Really don't have a lot of data in front of you, but I can say it's the most expensive. We're way behind with the HTE program that we're currently using. We can't take payment yet by credit card online. You have to pay in person. That really slows down the review process. The review process, if you submit a set of plans, we can go ahead and review them on Bluebeam, but we can't take payment over online version yet, so it slows down the process to actually get that percentage before plan review. So we would like to get something that would speed up that process. The staff is currently using refurbished GTAC units that came from the police department. Those are at end of life as well. We can't result in the field like we could at one time. Ms. Lopez can speak to that. She, at one particular time, had us iPads and a system called Long Range, and we've really went backwards since we've lost that program. So we would like to incorporate not only the replacement of the GTAC units we have, but the software, and to get where we can take payments online to expedite the plan review process. As far as the actual request, not counting the FEMA grant, that's a $346,800.
This new software would allow you to start taking credit card payments?
That's what we would be looking for in the software that we would accept. Yes, sir.
I do want to say that we had another budget meeting with you all, and I have reached out because there has always been a way that you guys can collect that online with HTE, and I've had a staff person reach out to them to see about getting that implemented for you immediately, at least to tackle that issue. Hopefully I'll have some kind of answer for that maybe by the end of September. So.
That'd be great. Part of this too would not only be for building inspections. We would look for something to incorporate with our GIS system, zoning department, fire investigation, all of that wrapped up into one portal that's way more user-friendly. Right now, it's hard to go online and even find the permit. it tasks me. So we would like to clean that up too and make that portal a lot easier and user-friendly.
Mr. Heish, currently with the GTAC units, do inspectors have access in the field to our plan library? Can they go back and look at submittals, or are they basically having to take with them whatever they would need for reference?
Yes, sir. When they get to the office in the morning, on their schedule, if there's something that they need to be apprised of, they would pull that permit from the drawer, look at what they could, take pictures of it, and take it with them on their iPhone.
So I know the council is aware of a few situations where we've, I would say, placed our inspection staff in difficult positions where they are attempting to inspect detailed items without the benefit of actually having the plan set to reference in the field. So whatever the solution is, I feel strongly this is a level of support that we need for both efficiency and accuracy purposes.
Seems imperative.
Would these be laptops that the inspectors would take out of the vehicle, or would it be something only used in the vehicle?
Out of the vehicle.
Very
Yes,
good.
sir.
If I could make one correction, though.
Yes, sir.
These aren't hand-me-down police GTACs. They initially were when we piloted that. We actually bought brand-new GTACs for building inspections, and they should have VPN access to access anything on the network. So if there's files, that may be a training situation there.
Very good. Maybe you can look into that while we're working to pass a budget. Any other questions? Pretty short and sweet.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir. Like I said, with a week's notice, I wish I was more prepared for this, but this is
all
what we
right.
got this year.
Next year, it'll be a year and a week.
Yes, sir. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate you coming. Mr. Dustin. You still have all the vehicles in the city? that
Sir?
you're gonna- You still gonna be asking for all the vehicles in the city?
I'm not going to go through the itemized list that I have. There's 65 that have been requested this year. We had a tremendous budget last year. You know, it was fantastic. 46 vehicles we bought, and I'm waiting on our last two to be delivered next week, if I'm not mistaken, and it'll be accomplished. So that was a really big help. And also, it's going to be a result in our, my operating budget will be significantly less next year because of that. Because 3/4 of our police fleet is close to 200,000 miles each. So that's a significant increase. Anytime a vehicle hits basically 125,000 miles, the maintenance cost and the operating cost of that vehicle doubles at 125. We're way past that. So, but I'm not going to go over the vehicles because all the different departments have already talked to you about it.
Maybe I need to get rid of mine then. Mine just turned 202.
Well, if you're not idling all day, you're probably okay, right? Idle time is what
Yes,
people
sir.
tend to forget about. So I'm gonna make this real quick and be respectful of you guys' time. I'm gonna talk about two things, really, and I'm sure you all have seen everything else, but the first thing I'm gonna talk about is the foundation issue that I'm having in the fleet department. This has been going on for quite a while. However, we had a study done in 2016, and it hasn't been addressed. We've got walls that are cracking. We got floors that are tremendously unlevel. We've got a vehicle lift that, if it's not repaired, I'm gonna have to take that lift out of service. I'm not gonna be able to use that area. And I just want some attention to just somebody to come meet with us, which Blake's already been helpful on that for sure. We already got people out there that are starting the process. So requesting that get accomplished, or we get started on something, and I'm asking for $70,000 this is for 27 and $100,000 each year, hoping that that will get us somewhere close where we need to be. It's hard to have exacts when we're not really sure what we're dealing with yet. That's the main thing that I'm asking for. The other one I'll talk about is Fire Station number 4, fueling facility. I believe it's been there if I understand right, it's been there since it was built. And it's antiquated, and that's not much. It's a $24,000 upgrade to that fire station. And everything else would love to have.
Station 4's fueling, is that an underground tank or an above?
It's an above-ground tank, 1,500 gallons.
Okay.
It takes about probably 10 minutes to fill up. I have put a solution in place. I guess I did that about 2-3 months ago to get us by for now. But it takes probably 10 minutes to fill up a fire truck because the pump's running so slow.
Is it because the inside is rusting, the outside is rusting?
No, sir, it's not. It's just the pump is a early to mid 70s fueling pump that you'd have seen in the 70s at the Texaco.
So could you just replace the pump and the tank is still viable?
The tank is fine, but a lot of it's the regulations from ADEM that we've got to follow, but we're gonna put a whole new system in place and all the safety stuff that's involved with that.
Thank you, sir.
No, that's all I've got. There are other things, but they're trivial. The biggest thing is the vehicles that you all have already heard about, so.
Well, if you have any other things that you want us to consider, maybe just email the council
No,
in
yes,
the
sir.
next couple of days, and you know how to get us all at one time.
That's correct. I don't foresee anything.
Just, one thing that I would like to have heard from the department heads would have been what you need today, what you need in 3 years, and what you might need in 5 years to give us the ability to look ahead and plan ahead. And but we may still be able to pull that off.
Yes, sir. I believe we're going to look further. That's Ms. Lopez's idea as well. And I do have plans, and I just didn't submit it in this budget request, 5-year plan for all vehicle replacements. Of course, it changes every year the previous year everything doesn't get followed. It changes the following 4 years.
This can be before you take that job at Birmingham.
I'm not going to take a job, Birmingham. I love Hoover. I'm dedicated to Hoover.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for,
Just for clarity, is there a handout or anything, materials that go along with your presentation, or?
I don't have any handout. No, ma'am. I just submitted to the finance team.
Okay, and so we'll get a copy of that later from you. All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
all right, Moose, I guess you're next.
Afternoon, council. You guys already have my handout. Operating wise, we're looking at a 8.8% increase over last year. It's a requested increase of $425,000, which puts us at roughly $5.2 million for the year for operating cost. Just kind of I'm not going to go through every line item and every piece of software that we have, but to kind of explain what that increase is coming from, you're looking at $146,000. The Public Safety Department, this is police, fire, dispatch, police records, jail, court for bookings and things like that, use Tyler's New World system, which is a premise-based solution. That means we host it. They are no longer doing upgrades or improvements to the premise-based version of that software. Like most software companies, they're moving to hosted solutions. So for us to transition to that hosted version and use it, we're going to be looking at an increase annually of $146,000. The alternative to that, which the city's gone through in the past, is we could look at moving to a new software platform completely. I think the last time, Melinda, you might be able to speak to that, when we moved from HT to New World, that's probably about 18 months to 2 years for that migration process, and a couple $1 million for the migration process. So transitioning to the hosted solution, and it's a solution we already know, makes the most sense in that arena. We are consuming the police's software maintenance. We do this for all the city already, and we already do it for the majority of the police department, but in consuming the rest of their software, that's 100,000 of that increase. And then 120,000 of that is our primary software. That would be Central Square, HTE, Tyler Munis, Microsoft, Aaliyah saw a big increase, Motorola. And so that makes up about 360,000, 380,000 of that 425 increase that we're looking at there. And that falls within the standard scope of 5 to 10% software and, or 5 to 10% maintenance cost every year for MIS with software and hardware increases. Any questions about operating? Okay. Capital, there are only 2 requests. I'm going to talk about the second one first. That's the core networking switches. By core networking switches, this is the central brain for our networking. Our current switches are 10 gig switches. The council over the last couple of years and the mayor have approved budgets that allowed us to upgrade our servers and other pieces of our equipment that can now communicate at like 100 gigs to 200 gigs, transferring data back and forth. The switches that we are currently using are 10 gig. So just think of it as we've got really big pumps with really small hoses that are a bottleneck for the network. And so we need to swap those out. It'll continue to work if we don't. It's just going to slow things down. And then the second request there is the $450,000. That is the one-time fee for migrating all of our public safety software from a premise-based to a cloud-based solution. That migration will take approximately 18 months. It'll be brought on department by department. The smallest impact will be to dispatch. They already use the same version of the application. It'll just move from being premise-based to cloud-based. And they'll see enhanced functionality inside of that as well too. Any questions about capital?
One thing I was going to mention is working with the cybersecurity grant, Mr. Cope did submit these switch replacements, but that was not going to be covered, which is why he has them in this request.
Yeah, so we have acquired 43 switches through the McCreary Institute. As I was explaining to Councilman Schultz earlier, those are what we call endpoint switches. We will replace switches at the fire stations, the Met, the Finley, where our network ends at. Those will basically be new 10 gig switches there that replace an aging fleet of equipment there. But it's not the same type of equipment that make up our core network.
Moose, do you have any additional switches yet to be considered?
I'm sure we probably do, some that are getting into 6 or 7 years, but we're talking about replacing the ones that are 15 and 18 years old. Well, if you talk about the Finley Center, you're obviously looking at 10 years on those, because I believe it's right at 10 years on it. But most of those have been replaced, and then these will replace, like I said, the core ones. These core ones are probably only about 7 years old, but the ability to transmit that much data at the time, and we didn't have the equipment, this is just a logical progression in that. Okay.
I just want to clarify, make
Yes,
sure
ma'am.
I'm understanding this correctly. So on the public safety hosted migration, there's a $450,000 capital request, and then there's also $146,000 in the operating budget. Do I assume correctly that the 450 is a one-time capital investment, and then the 146 is an annual operating increase?
You're correct. So the one thing I would note in there is there are some, what I'm going to call not directly visible cost savings that we'll see when we move to the hosted solution. That's backup processes that we're no longer doing. That's storage data that we're no longer doing. That takes off maintenance aspects that we're no longer running. That's less server requirements that we're not having to do as well too. So there is a cost savings in there, but it's hard to put a tangible value on that. But that does offset inside of there.
In other words, reducing internal labor?
Yes, ma'am. And, lifespan on equipment.
Okay, thanks.
The only other thing I have in our budget is a position request. We've actually been asking for this position for a couple years. I believe in 2018, the Brunson White study showed that the IT department should have 18 full-time employees. We have 9 if you count the 2.5 that the police department has that we have on our hall, that's 11.5. The McCreary Institute on their study this year also recommended a security position as well too. So this is something that we feel strongly about and would like to have a security position, information security analyst at a pay grade 12. Ms. Lopez, do you know that off the top of your head? Yes, ma'am.
A 12 starts out at 73,000 and ends at 131 and some change.
We did do a progressive analysis of the private sector for the state of Alabama and the surrounding states, and that price point was in line for that type of position. Depending on the type of company, it could go all the way up to 250,000 a year. Some companies, it may be 60 or 70,000 at starting point, but we were in that middle range for the area that we looked at.
Very good. Dr. Lopez, could we get, for all the members of the council, a copy of the current pay schedules? All the grades and the steps, and
Yes, would you also like to include the positions with the grade?
that'd be nice.
Okay.
Shouldn't be but a few hundred. Anything else from Moose? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, we have city planner, Mac. Somebody earlier today tried to get you a raise.
Well, don't let me stand in their way. You guys get fancy card stuff.
Hey, how nice.
Is that what you had? That's what was in the printer?
That was accidentally what was in the printer.
This is our $5 paper.
All right, so what you have in front of you is an updated budget request for additional funds beyond the baseline operating that planning and zoning operates under at present, as well as a couple of position requests, a little bit of additional operating, as well as a little bit of capital requests. So I will walk through, first of all, I had more items that I submitted to the CFO and finance initially on July 30th. However, we got very fortunate in this budget year that one very large nuisance case that we were dealing with and are still dealing with to some degree appears like it's going to be resolved outside of city forces having to intervene. And certainly with the additional time that that particular individual has been given to work on abating it themselves, we do not look to have to deal with that in this particular budget cycle. I wonder who that is. Which, by the way, having been by the site, there has been a tremendous amount of work done in that case. I recall before work starting that you couldn't even see the fence leading into the backyard, and now the entire driveway is clear, and it looks like the backyard has substantially improved. So,
He knows there are gonna be no other extensions too.
yes, sir. And so with that being the case, that freed up some additional funding in our operating this year to go ahead and knock out a few of the items that we were requesting for fiscal '27. And those are included on the second page, including some new computers for our landscape architect, as well as zoning inspector, external and internal drives and mouse replacement, and one-time additional expense for training for our GIS personnel. So we've been able to eliminate some of our requests this year. I'll go through the ones that remain, and I did put these in order of importance if I were to give it any kind of order. The new positions I would put at the top, particularly that of zoning inspector. So we're covering a city over 50 square miles in size. We have 2 zoning inspectors at present that are handling all of our code enforcement. And so I have 1 position currently that is handling all of our sign inspections, sign permitting, as well as grass and weeds. I have another position that is focusing on vehicles, abandoned vehicles, as well as dilapidated properties. And the workload for those 2 individuals is very high, to where I generally ask, okay, tell me as your manager where your workload is as if it were a water level. Is it above your head? Is your head above water? You know, where are we? And I think we are operating to where the water is right about nose level. So we're trying to stretch for breath right now with the workload that those guys have. And it's only going to continue to grow given the age of our community, our residences, businesses, apartment complexes, you name it, are having additional age with each year that passes. And we're seeing a number of problems cropping up that a newer, younger city would not have to deal with. So that particular position is definitely needed to cover our city's footprint. And so along with that position request, I've included a vehicle request through Fleet to deal with that. That position, I have it as a grade 9 in line with the other 2 zoning inspector positions that we have currently filled by Mr. Mack and Mr. Prosh. The second position.
Before we move on from that, may I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
So will you have the new position take on some of the workload of the other 2 code enforcement inspectors, or is there some additional areas of scope that you would anticipate the new position taking on?
The new position would carry additional weight on both of those sides of the house, so to speak. While those are the particular points of interest that I have the 2 guys we have working on focused on, at the end of the day, the 2 code enforcement officials are on a team, and if there is overload on one side, grass and weeds, then the other picks up the slack. And there's not much bandwidth, if you will, to pick up slack.
Are these same inspectors responsible for going to construction work sites to ensure that stormwater runoff measures are appropriately in place, or is someone else responsible for that?
Someone else would be responsible for that, inspectors in our engineering department.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, if we have a situation where stormwater facilities are overgrown, or if there are, weeds and trees and grass that need to be taken care of, we can attack it at that angle along with engineering. Provide some assistance. I think we had a case like that over with the UAB standalone ER, where between multiple departments, we were able to get them to clean up, and it helped tremendously.
Understood. So you're saying the inspection responsibility lies with the engineering department, but your department can get involved with respect to the code enforcement aspects that are associated with that?
That's correct. If there are aspects of the property maintenance code that they are violating in addition to anything related to stormwater or other aspects of the site, then the two code enforcement officials would be involved.
Got it.
And if I could, I know I had a chance to discuss some of the maintenance of detention facilities with legal yesterday. There's an answer forthcoming to some of those inquiries that we received by email. I do expect that answer will be that it is a necessity to work cross-functional, across different functional areas for resolution, specifically on properties that are not subject to the MS4 annual reporting guidelines, but are still enforceable through standard nuisance conditions.
Thank you.
All right, the next position is for Assistant City Planner. This position has been on the wish list for the last couple of years, although it may have come under the heading of Zoning Administrator. And by and large, that would be the primary function of the position, to administer our zoning ordinance as it relates to permitting, as it relates to business licensing, as it relates to site plan and subdivision plan review. And one gap that we have at present that this position would fill, and it's a critical one, is when we have individuals coming to apply for business licenses, they're supposed to give a description of the type of business or the use of the property. As of right now, we may have the occasion where finance in receiving that application gets enough of a red flag from the description to where they'll reach out to our office just to double check. But as far as somebody in that role doing it for every single certificate of occupancy or business license application, we don't have anyone filling that role. And really, with existing staff, don't have the manpower to do that. I know there have been a couple of instances where we've had business licenses issued, and we'll say the applicants weren't delivering the utmost in clarity when giving us the description of the use in the business, and we've had to go in the back end, and it's become a code enforcement matter. But in addition to that, the Assistant City Planner would be there to offer assistance to me. I by no means am wishing any ill on myself, but there's no guaranteeing that when I walk out the door, I'm coming back in, heaven forbid. But having somebody there that I'm working with, ensuring that we have continuous operation with the department, no disruption, would be of critical importance. And so along with that position, including any kind of IT and fleet needs for that. Okay, in addition to that, two operating items, an increase for $15,000 in our operating budget for nuisance abatement, junk removal. We had some additional funds in this year's budget to position for that purpose. should we have needed it. But that is not something that we anticipate having every year, year in and year out in our operating budget. And with the number of nuisance cases of this nature that are starting to pop up, fortunately, we've been able to deal with several in court and get resolutions there. We fortunately have a resolution that appears to be at hand with our Turtle Creek case. But going forward, I would think it would be wise to have a line item for that particular kind of abatement, should we get all the way to the end and have to go to court and get an injunction and get approval to go abate the nuisance ourselves. So we are asking for that increase in operation to ensure that we have the resources to do that if necessary. In addition to that, we've got a slight increase for operation for GIS professional certification. The council was gracious enough to approve a position for GIS manager, and he has been busy at work in his time here to pull that together and give it some organization. And as part of that effort, would like to offer that position professional certification as a GIS manager. The last two items that I have, one is the comprehensive plan update. We're requesting $150,000 for that, the one-time expenditure. The comp plan informs so many decisions that we make on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. Every single case that we take before the Planning Commission is informed by our comprehensive plan. A lot of the decisions that we make in-house are informed by the comprehensive plan. The advice and guidance that we give to the development community is based in the comp plan, and we want to ensure that the comprehensive plan is actually accounting for current realities as well as the current desires and wishes of our citizenry. The one that we are operating under right now is from 2019. We've had a lot happen since 2019, COVID and the economic disruptions that have occurred in association with that. So we would like to have that updated. In the profession, the preferred or the optimal amount of time that passes between adoption and amendment and updating would be 5 years. So with 2019 being our adoption year, we're past the 5-year mark. So I do think that would be helpful for us in ensuring that the advice that we're giving to our planning commission, our city council, consultation with the development community at large and citizens, ensuring that we're going off of a plan that is up to date and it's based in current realities would be an improvement. And then finally, there's a request for $120,000 for replacement of the pedestrian bridge decking over at the Hoover East Sports Complex leading to our greenway trails on the east side of the Cahaba River. Now, I have discussed this with finance, and if there is a more appropriate place for this item in another budget, certainly open to that with another department. But it is of a condition where it needs to be on the list somewhere. The boarding there has served us for 25 plus years, and it's in need of replacement.
And why is that not in the Parks and Rec Department?
Be glad to have it in their line item, but it came to our attention in planning and zoning because we were planning out and setting up a revamping of the trails over in Hoover East. In fact, we started construction yesterday on that project. And as we were going through and examining that particular project and what it entails, we noticed that the bridge decking was outdated and in need of replacement. Kind of going back to some of those funds in our operating from earlier that we had in excess. This is actually before the Turtle Creek case came up. We had a few funds laying out there that, speaking with Chief of Operations, trying to figure out were there some things that we could do in the immediate future to expend those funds. The bridge decking came up, of course, the price tag that came with the quotes for the bridge decking replacement well exceeded what we had on hand. But since we had already come across the issue, wanted to go ahead and put a request in for it.
And just to follow up on that, you'll see when you get all the 5-year requests, we may put the requesting department, and then we'll actually put the functional area, and that's where we would typically budget it.
Mr. Martin, who is the final voting authority when it comes to updating the comprehensive plan update?
By state law, it is your Planning and Zoning Commission.
And the new vehicles, are they gonna be brand new or new to them?
Budgeting for a new vehicle, but we're willing to work with Fleet with whatever they have.
Dustin's already left. Maybe he can find you some hand-me-downs if we can't find the money right away. Thank you,
Yes, sir.
Anything else for Mr. Martin? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, now we have Mayor's office.
Scott's ready to go.
Your first budget,
My first budget.
yes.
All right. Good afternoon. Thank you for your time. I know it's been a long day, so mine will be very brief. The mayor's office would like to request an additional $30,000 for special events sponsorships. This is to help us with economic development during the year. We don't have anything specific yet planned for these funds. I know there will be many events in Hoover during the upcoming year, and we would just like to be able to contribute when needed and requested.
I see you have 200,000 out of the revised budget going to tourism.
Yes, sir. So we had the 200,000 in our budget last year, but I know this year the mayor would like all tourism advertisement publications to come out of tourism. So we did transfer basically 200,000 out of our budgets.
Mr. Smith, you'll recall the addition in the tourism and marketing area that I mentioned earlier. The 26 is showing last year, 27 is zeroed out in the mayor's budget, with that amount being booked under tourism marketing now. So it's net zero.
Do we have Michael Davis's contract is still going to be handled through the legal? Yes?
I think this is under city clerk?
Yes. It will be done the same way as this year, yes.
And Mr. Ellis's contract, is it the management consultant?
That's the 200, that's what we're talking about moving,
Yes, sir.
yes.
Okay.
And again, just to be clear, the 200 that you're seeing here in the mayor's budget is from 26 revised. That's presented at zero this year because of that that move to consolidate. But it is in there, just in a different area.
Correct.
I thought that we had authorized a $50,000 discretionary fund last year for the mayor's budget, but I don't see that here.
Correct. And that was going to help with maybe attending or going to Washington or meeting with like whoever the new mayor or who the buyers are going to be at the mall.
We're gonna check that real quick. I do recall that, that line of discussion. I don't recall seeing an actual corresponding line item, but let us run that down.
Okay.
We welcome it.
I believe Ms. Driver is very correct when it came to that figure. Any questions for Crystal? She looks very nervous up there.
Not at all.
All righty. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Engineering and sewer.
All right, so the $50,000 is in the, the line of 426110, the 68,070, it's in that line.
Very good. Thank you for confirming.
All right, you guys ready? All right, engineering. So I've organized the cover page for you guys. So the way we'll flow through it is beginning with engineering operating. Then we'll get into capital requests. First things under capital requests, we'll hit transportation, stormwater, and special projects. Following that, I'll get into fleet, HR, IT, and then after I'm done, Jason will come up and talk about sanitary sewer. So for the engineering operating request, so department operating budget request for FY '27 is $229,945, and that's no increase from the prior year. For engineering and legal services operating, we're gonna remain at 62,000, no increase following year. Item of note on the legal services, that money does come from our stormwater fee. Stormwater operating budget is $230,350, and that's no increase from the following year. So this covers MS4 consulting, engineering, and monitoring of stream gauges, structures, and the reporting required part of our 8M permits. That also comes from the stormwater fee that's collected. Traffic and roadway maintenance budget shift. So through our consultation with finance, we identified some items that reoccurred year after year in the capital budget. And so these routine maintenance items are not tied to a specific project and are requested yearly, typically within the capital budget. For FY '27, this request is being shifted from the capital to the operating account based upon recommendation from the finance department. So we took her advice and we shifted these over. So included in these line items are miscellaneous routine traffic and roadway maintenance items. The following list: bridge maintenance and inspections, roadway lighting and for interstate and local traffic, signal maintenance and communications and fiber optics, traffic signal preemption and yearly maintenance agreement, miscellaneous roadway holiday decorations and replacement, miscellaneous roadway signs, maintenance and upgrades, and various traffic signal detection, replacement, and calming items. So those are being shifted from what would have been in capital account that's included in. If you look at your spreadsheet, that's all capital items. And the items that you see there in yellow are the ones that we moved to the 101 account, the operating account. Getting into our engineering capital requests. So this is where we'll start diving into this sheet. However, I will be following along with the cover page and then just noting which items on the spreadsheet I'm covering. So for engineering capital requests, our total capital request is $16,793,750. So that's all included within the summary sheet. If you notice here, the sheet has priorities on the left-hand column, and then we've designated a few different we designate them under must, should, and could. So this is just for your logic as you're going through. And then they're divided up as I go here. So under the capital request in that 16 million, an item of note is 5,120,000 of that is reimbursable grants. So we completed Apple's study, and then subsequent to that study, we submitted SS4, a grant application. So that grant application is for a total of $6 million. We will need to allocate $6 million. However, we will be reimbursed $5 million of that money. Second one is working with the MPO, CAS, who you met a few weeks ago, and also in conjunction with ALDOT, we're seeking funding for the road scanning, which was, we got the agreement approved. We're just looking for this to fall into the 27 budget cycle. Of that $16 million, another $4 million is going to come from the gas tax, and that's Rebuild Alabama gas tax, the 7-cent gas tax, the 4 and 5 cent gas tax, and Jefferson County road tax makes up that $4 million. So getting into the buckets of transportation, and then following that would be stormwater.
Real quick, the $3 million paving maintenance,
Yep.
was that any part of the Shades Crest that we voted last night?
That was for this fiscal year, 26. So,
Fiscal year 26,
yeah,
27?
that's correct. So we pulled those items together and compiled the list. And so we're just getting that pushed through now. So this will be for FY '27 repaving.
Okay. But does this 3 million include the Shades Crest Road project?
From
No?
26, it does.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, this is the 27 money, and we have 3 million from FY '26, and 672,000, we're talking about Shades Crest is
Okay.
included in the FY '26.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
So just running through transportation items. So paving maintenance, which you just mentioned, $3 million, that's gas tax money. Roadway maintenance, $280,000. On your spreadsheet, these are items 3 through 12. They include miscellaneous guardrail, miscellaneous sidewalk material maintenance, miscellaneous roadway intersection and striping maintenance. So that falls into the must category. On transportation roadway projects, we have the Big Valleydale Road widening project. So we collect $4 million in the fees, gas tax fees, and so we've split that between road paving and the road widening project. So through resolution 8423-25, the city has agreed to match 10% for utility construction for years 26 through 29. So this will be the second of those 4 years, splitting that money.
Real quick, the Valleydale Road widening, how close are we to fruition on seeing any of that happen?
So that is being shifted out 2030. We are currently doing utility work relocation. So that was in discussion with the MPO for reallocating some of their funds to go towards the Exit 9 project.
Because I believe we started voting, the city did, when I was first on the council in 2004,
Yep.
1999.
99, so before then.
That's right. So it is progressing. We're working on utility relocation currently and then acquiring the right-of-ways. Next on the roadway projects is the Willet Lakes Roundabout. That's $50,000. That's item 20. And so that would be getting into the design of that. That's a roundabout that's located by a school, helping for easier access. I think I also heard that will eliminate the need for a crossing guard. So transportation, traffic signal. So there's traffic signal project upgrades to the tune of $1,275,000. This is item 21 on your spreadsheet. These include 3 projects that are listed out, which is Highway 31 at the I-65 southbound ramp. It's on the north side of town just before you go into Vestavia, redoing the traffic signals there. US Highway 31 in Patton Chapel and US Highway 31 at Municipal Drive. For traffic signal maintenance, we're requesting $345,000. This is item 22, 23, and 24 on the spreadsheet. These are a bucket that will handle traffic signal and battery backup, upgrades and replacement, and traffic signal detection, replacement, upgrades, and calming, specifically focused for South Shades Crest and Russet Woods, US Highway 31 at Lorna, 119 at Greystone Way, and Tyler Road at Sanders. Transportation, getting into traffic, roadway, and sidewalk grants. So we, like I had mentioned at the get-go, when I was getting in the capital budgets, we did apply for SS4A grant. Total project allocation $6 million with $5 million of that reimbursable. It's item 16 on the spreadsheet. And then second dot there under traffic, roadway, and sidewalk grants is the road scanning assessment. So this is what was approved last night for the agreement portion of it. This is getting into the budgeting for 27. So total allocation would be $150,000 with $120,000 of that reimbursable. And that's working in conjunction with MPO and ALDOT. Sidewalk projects. So I have quite a listing here. So there's item 26, 29, 30, 33, 34, and 35. So we took these projects and spread them out. And so we'll be attacking, some of these are fairly large in size. So if you look at projects that are listed there, the first one's Hawkesbury, from Cloudland to Maidland. It's 1,150 feet. Total project cost is $450,000. However, in 27, we'll just be tackling engineering and right-of-way, which is $80,000. In Atkins Trim, larger project, goes from Sulphur Springs to Alcere. It's 4,850 feet long. Total budget for that is $1,561,600 total. And so in FY27, we propose just doing a feasibility study for that project to the tune of $50,000. Next on the list is Alcea Road, Sulphur Springs to Chapel Lane. It's 10,000 feet long, $3.3 million total. Will be spread from 27 to 31. And fiscal year 27, we propose doing a feasibility study for $75,000. Brookside Pass and Lake Cyrus Boulevard, 160 feet, roughly $165,000 total cost. And we propose in 27 beginning engineering and right-of-way for that for $95,000. And lastly, on sidewalks is Farley Road from Park Avenue to Chapel, 5,100 feet. Total project cost is estimated to be $1,925,000 total. And so we propose in 27 beginning a feasibility study on that for $75,000. That's all I have on transportation at this point. Next, stormwater. So the total requested, which is item 2 on your spreadsheet, and last year what we did is we put that in a miscellaneous drainage account. We had $3 million allocated. We're looking for $3,653,750 in FY27. The project listing includes Green Valley Phase 3, $1,010,000. 1224 Kingston Drive, $600,000. Old Columbiana, $753,000. Cloudland Drive, which will be spread 27 and 28. Total projects 385, and we're looking for $192,000 in 27. Dartmouth Drive, we're spreading that over 27 and 28, 785,000 total. We're looking for 392,527. Albemarle Drive, it's going to be spread over 27, 28, 552,500 total. And in 27, we're looking for $276,250. Teton Road and Laurel Lane, $217,500 in 27. 27, 28, Green Valley Phase 4, total project cost for that is $1,870,000. In 2027, we're looking just to begin the engineering phase of that for $200,000. And in Howard Lake Spillway Dam, so we're just looking into doing a study on that. That's the, yeah. I will let you know that these projects are both from citizens going through See-Click-Fix, where we have staff go out and investigate, work up, see if there's potential public purpose projects. So some of these may fall into the public purpose bucket. Others, through the inventory that we did, we identified some of the storm system that are within the right-of-way that are in very bad condition and need to be addressed. So I just present
Can you explain what it is that you're going to be doing on those stormwater? What is it that you're planning to do with them?
for these stormwater projects.
Yes.
It's a variety of different, so some of these are just in Green Valley area.
Take the one on Albemarle.
Albemarle, yeah, I don't have that off the top of my head on Albemarle, but a lot of these are collapsed pipes and or corrugated pipes that have just are out of their lifespan. So when we did the inventory, they scoped these systems and found pipe where the whole bottom half of the pipe is actually corroded. They're under roadways. And once that's identified, you can actually tell when you're on the street that there's a little bit of dip where these pipes are going underneath the roadway. So they're on our radar, and we're listing them out.
Is it extensive repair, or is it tearing up the road, or what is the?
So it's all over the map. So some of these are collecting or surcharging and getting into the, the streets, similar to what was happening in Green Valley here, causing flooding issues. Those are typically the citizens' complaint. Now, from the inventory that assessment that we've done for phase 2, the citizens aren't necessarily complaining on those yet, but it's something that once we've gone down and inspected and see, it's just a problem waiting to happen. So within the right-of-way on roadways. I can get back to you on the specifics on Albemarle.
For those on this list that don't have a 2027 amount requested, do I understand correctly that in the same line where it says year, that will show the first year that we would expect a request on those items?
Correct. Yeah, so what we did is we did spread these out over 5 years. And so I do have that information I can get to you as well for the stormwater projects. For the first 3 years, they're roughly hovering around the same ask, around $3 million. And 4 and 5, they're dipping off a little bit.
And for those that would require a public purpose determination, when would you expect to bring those to the council?
So our typical process is we go out and investigate, and then we come back. We have a weekly call with legal to see if it fits the definition of public purpose. So at which time we get through that process, we'll come to you guys and request. However, we do have a slate of projects currently that's going to take our entire budget from 26. And so that's why we're getting these on the radar for next year. So what I would like to do is see that the miscellaneous drainage account gets funded at the same capacity that we did this prior year, which was $3 million last year. That will keep us on plane. But just for reference here, I did pare this down. The city could be spending $7 million a year for 10 years, and we would just be getting back on plane. So there's a lot out there. Hopefully, we can address that through a potential increase in stormwater fees if at all possible.
Sir, do I understand correctly that you're having some issue with some of the homeowners in the Green Valley section?
Before we get on property and start construction, so we have the project designed, we're ready, set, go, but there's a waiver that has to be signed. And so I believe in the Green Valley area, there's 17 people that we need signatures from on the waiver. There's also adjustments to the easements on those properties, so those documents have to be signed as well. So we have 4 homeowners yet to receive their final signatures. However, I have been working with Scott Barnett, and so we've tweaked the language just a little bit, so I'm hoping that I'll get a few more this afternoon.
At what point, if they continue to refuse, should that money need to go to another stormwater project?
So, I would like to, be in charge and make that call, but that's probably, so you unleash me and my department on anything and we can go fix the world. So I wouldn't want our department to make the judgment call on just pumping the brakes and
I
stopping.
understand
That would
that-
probably be a little
that,
out of
but-
bounds.
But if you've got a handful of homeowners that don't care to participate and they're holding up the whole project, maybe we need to notify.
So
Is there a notification list that you can?
I have the list of individuals, yes, sir. I don't want to get people running around with a bunch of pitchforks, get them to sign the documents. So I do feel like there's 3 up top that I should be able to get at this point based upon working with Barnett. And so we have to have a discussion on one other homeowner that's at the bottom of the system that we're looking to fix. So that will have to be another crafty discussion with Barnett on how we proceed there.
You wouldn't have to give any names, just say that because of certain property owners not being willing to participate, we need to take these funds and move to another area that has just as great a need and help them, because we can't get anything here.
Right. So I would give it a little time yet. There has been quite an investment at this point in design, survey, legal. So I would hate just to say, you had 2 weeks, we're done. So I would say give us a little time to get the few remaining signatures, and I feel certain that we'll be successful in that neighborhood.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Keep going down my list. I got a couple more items here. So
Okay.
stormwater inventory. So we have completed 2 of the 7 zones. This is something that was initiated prior to my coming on board. It's a very good program that we're doing in understanding our system, getting it uploaded in GIS with all the associated attributes. Allows our team to be very efficient in those zones that have been completed. And the bonus of going through that exercise also is that we do identify problems that we know we're going to have to plan for. So it's 2 things: helps us plan, recognize issues, and then down the road, hopefully after we have all this data collected in GIS, we can start getting crafty on asset management systems. So that's my hope. Lastly, here under stormwater's dam program, so there is a Alabama SB 378 that's basically shifting responsibility of dam inspections. It's going to require municipalities and counties and any dam owner to periodically inspect their dams. So we have begun this exercise this year. It was approved last year. It's going to be a multi-year deal. So I have already created an inventory of all the dams in the city. We've created standard operating procedures. So as we go forward, we'll inspect the dams. They'll get a classification and put into a hazard class. So a hazard class basically ends up dictating your inspection frequency. So if it's a high hazard dam, you're gonna have to hit that a little more often than you would just say, you know, a low-level dam that's not gonna cause major issue down. So we've identified those dams, we've got the inventory, beginning SOPs, we're gonna start doing cursory inspections of these dams, and then coming up with an inspection program for the city. It's gonna put the city ahead big time in the state of Alabama for being proactive on the dams. It's a good thing. Okay, we're out of capital now. I'm getting into fleet. So fleet request. So we are asking to replace one vehicle. Current vehicle has around 200,000 miles and is getting a little shaky. So we're looking to replace one vehicle. We're happy to work with fleet if they have a car on hand, or, you know, if need be, they go out and get another vehicle. Human resources requests. So we do have some upgrade requests and then a new position request as well. So upgrade kind of goes on the level of what Mac was saying, where, you know, you've got a certain workload and you also want to be on par with the competitors out there. And so for upgrades, where we want to shift an engineer from engineer to senior engineer, that's a grade 12.8 to a 13.8. Upgrade positions for traffic signal technicians. So we have 3 signal traffic techs that we would like to upgrade. One from a 5.7 to a 7.7, one from a 5.13 to a 7.12, and a senior traffic tech from a 7.13 to 8.13. So just so you know, on the traffic techs, these are specialized individuals that are very good at what they do and have the appropriate certifications. And I'm sure that other municipalities would love to steal them from us. On IT, there's 2 requests. So we would like another seat of Synchro. So we currently have 1 seat. John Anthony uses it. We have a second engineer that does a lot of traffic work alongside of John, and it would be nice to get another seat so that they do not have to both fight for time to get onto Synchro. And then if we do approve a new engineer position, a computer would go along with that. Any questions? We do have sewer yet.
I'm gonna have a question right off the bat before you get started. Huh? No, I'm just gonna get started. Mr. Welch?
Yes, sir.
Before you get started, one thing I'd like to understand is what is the city's obligations with the sewer system now that the GUSC has been formed?
So right now, we're still fully operating the system as the city. The access has actually not transferred into the GUS hands yet, so.
So, city has yet to transfer the sewers to the GUSC.
That's correct.
All right, thank you. We're ready for you.
All right. So in the handouts I just provided is an overview summary of the proposed budget request we're wanting to make in our wastewater collection and treatment system. The projects will address aging and critical equipment needs to help us to continue to maintain our infrastructure and protect public health and the environment. I think it'd probably be easier to kind of follow along on the spreadsheet, or if you just, that I provided. The first item on the list is the AlDOT Jefferson County Caldwell Mills and Camp Horner Road roadway and bridge replacement project. Actually, no, this project is in the county, but the city does maintain a sanitary sewer force main. During the initial, the design work, it was discovered that about 1,500 linear feet of that, our existing tenant's PVC force main, is in conflict with the project. With the engineering and the construction costs, the total is about $636,000. Now, those funds are 100% reimbursable through AlDOT. So even though we're spending the money up front, those funds will be reimbursed back to the city, to cover the cost of that, conflict there. Item number 2 is just, our general, new pumps and equipments for the River Chase and Inverness wastewater treatment facilities. As you can see, I have them broke down based off of the ones that we're looking to replace this year. Throughout the years, we have been able to replace a lot of these here pumps that have seen pretty much the end of life. What we're constantly seeing here in the system is that we have no control of what's being flushed. So a lot of stuff does affect those pumps and provide a lot of age to them. So request number 2 is just to replace some of those pumps, some of our smaller horsepower pumps in the system there, to help us keep up with the daily maintenance on it, to keep down the cost. There is kind of a high contingency on those, even though I had quotes, because what we're seeing now is an increase in purchasing pumps. Here recently with all the tariffs and everything's going on. So right now we're looking at almost maybe a 10% increase over the previous years when it comes to purchasing equipment. Request number 3 is the River Chase clarifier, number 3. Let's give you a little bit of understanding of the clarifier. This is part of the treatment process, and it's currently down, which is about 50% of the actual plant average of 3 million gallons per day capacity. Over the past year and a half, we have been playing around, putting parts in, trying to get this here piece of equipment back up and operational. But here recently it failed again, and now we're resort to having to actually get a project to replace it. We flew the vendor out here earlier this year to do an assessment on the system and told us what it would take to get this here piece of equipment back up and operational. It was put in during the upgrade of the plant back in 1998, so it does have a lot of age on it, and plus a lot of the parts are no longer available. So upgrading this here would actually help us get our plant back up to 100% capacity, and it's part of our treatment facility. Request number 4 is our Inverness wastewater treatment plant. It's our sand filter unit replacement project. Our sand filters is almost one of the final steps in treating our raw sewage. With this system here being down, we're actually having to use a little bit more chemicals to treat the process to make sure that we're continuously meeting our ADM regulation requirements. We're still in compliance, but this rare piece of equipment being back online would definitely help us with the estimated cost of operating the plant going forward. The next item is priorities at the River Chase wastewater treatment plant is the Headworks screen and conveyor system. What this conveyor system does is that it removes any of the large particles and solids that are being flushed that actually gets past the collection system there. Right now, it's limping along, but it's definitely in need of replacing there. Of course, we actually had the vendor come out to give us a quote on what the repair costs would be, and it actually be in the packet that Melinda provides you with a little bit more details as far as what that quote is and what it would cover. One of the largest requests that we have, which be priority number 6, is at the River Chase wastewater treatment facility, and this is for our Headworks and our grit system. Right now, the Headworks is operational, but the grit system is actually down. This is just part of the first stages of the treatment system where it removes all the heavy particles, some of the microorganisms from the treatment facility. So it actually helps with the overall treatment of the wastewater, and also helps with us keeping our maintenance down when it comes to what chemicals we have to add to actually treat the facility there. This is a big ask of $3.5 million, but I believe that this is a critical component to our treatment facilities at that plant there. We've actually been working with the engineer there to try to get us what's the best solution to help us to also not only fix a problem here, but it actually help with future needs with the possible enforcement of the new TMDL from ADEM in the year 2032. The next item on the list is for the control panels at both within River Chase and Inverness wastewater for the lift stations. There are about 43 lift stations in our basin that we maintain. And the control panels is pretty much the hub to making sure the pumps are operational. What we're seeing now is that the pumps, the control panels are becoming obsolete, and a lot of them are end of life, so we're no longer able to buy the components to make sure that these parts are operational. So what this here is phased it out over 3 years, and we'll start off with our oldest control panel and work our way to the least oldest control panel and replacing those to get us up to the new standards. Making sure that those parts are readily available if needed. Our request for number 8 is in the Inverness wastewater treatment plant. It's actually our blower room replacement building. Currently, this is a fiberglass / mix with plastic roofing that is pretty much failing due to just the heat and just the harsh environment at the treatment facility there. What this project here would do is replace that entire building with what we're looking at going back with is a steel framing platform, metal building to go around it, adding some ventilation to it to kind of help with that, from preventing that from happening again. I want to say this right here, blower room was actually put in with the plant expansion back in the early 2000s, so it has served its purpose. And then items number 9 and 10 is just kind of one of my wish list items. These are 2 of our can stations that are currently still operational in the Inverness Basin. We actually already had the engineering work done on both of these here about maybe 3 years ago. What these here projects would do is we'll fund for the construction of them. And to kind of give you an understanding what a can station is that pretty much everything that's in that pump station is housed underground. That's electrical components and everything. And a lot of these can stations are about 15 to 20 foot deep. So this actually gets our workers from out of the ground. It gets us get those electrical components above ground and kind of get us up to today's standards there.
Mr. Chair, I do have a couple of questions. So of these capital requests, are all of these new requests or any of these part of the previous $6 million that were authorized by previous council?
No, ma'am. So some of these requests are from previous budget requests, but nothing that was a part of that 6.1.
All right, so none of these have been previously approved or allocated for?
No.
And aren't there funds left from that 6 million that have not yet been spent?
There's some, but not much. None that would actually cover, it may cover some, but not all of these projects here.
Is it because all of those previous projects have not yet been completed, or is there leftover money because there was an excess of funds?
So those projects are not completed, and what we don't want to do is just move that money, and then we have a change order that may come up. We do have a change order that will be coming up for the River Chase number 1 project. They'll probably be here in another week or 2 that we'll need some additional fundings for there. And then the generator project actually just bid it. Everything appears to be okay there, but just to have some money set aside just in case we do have a change order, so we won't have to come back to you guys to ask for additional funding.
And if we were to approve all of these $7.8 million of requests for capital you would actually be able to spend that money in this fiscal year?
No, because some of the projects will actually have to go to bid, and we're looking at construction time, like on the clarifier, I think it's right at maybe 6 to 8 months. For the pumps, technically, if we get the funding now, we can go out and start ordering pumps. I think right now, the lead time was about 8 weeks. They've gotten it down to about 4 to 6 weeks, just depending on the size and the horsepower. But some of the larger projects will take about a year or two to complete.
Okay. Is there a reason why we couldn't just allocate the amount of capital that is appropriate for that year and then do the remaining amount in a following capital year?
I'm gonna take it from Ms. Dr. Lopez when she says if we fund a project, we need to fund the entire project that year so that we don't have to come back and ask for any additional funding, so.
I think what you're asking, Councilman Driver, is not approve a project not to approve so many projects at once. Is that true?
Until we're ready to execute on them.
Right. But we obviously need to approve it before we would do a bid and that sort of thing.
Sure.
Yes. So, did you, and I can't remember, and I could look it up here, did you request items for the following fiscal years as well, or just, did you put everything in one fiscal year?
No, I actually did spread some out. Some of this stuff, like the River Chase, let's take the larger one, the Headworks and Grit System at River Chase wastewater treatment plant. We've got some preliminary engineering work on it. We figured it'll still take another 6 months to get everything finalized, so you're still looking at almost 8 months before you can actually submit for a bid on that project there.
Yeah, I'm looking, it looks like he does have a few projects that may not be on this list in subsequent years. But I think just to make sure I'm clear on, and everybody's clear on what I'm thinking is, all I'm saying is, don't take a $3 million project and try to split it over a couple years. Let's commit to it if we're gonna commit to it. But if it's not something we can get to this year, then put it in a subsequent year.
Understood, yeah. What is the timeline for transfer of assets into the GUS?
So the timeline for that is ongoing. There's a lot of work still going on with legal, and some of that is discretionary to council as far as when we transfer assets. We also would have a need to transfer contracts for instance, the Clearwater contract or whoever may operate that system. We would need to transfer that and also to begin assigning revenue to them so they could actually meet some of those ongoing obligations. We're not to that point yet. I still am optimistic that we could probably do that around close to the end of the fiscal year, maybe the calendar year, depending on how legal comes along with the transfer of assets. And I think some of that, I would like some guidance from council on how quickly we would like to move that over, because clearly without the backstop of the general fund, I'll just say capital stops, essentially. And so some of this is organizational in nature as we prepare to move, and I know that was the council's thought in providing that $6 to $7 million in funding is, to allow for critical capital to continue. But I struggle with sort of how we entertain multi-year engagements, and most of these would be by the time you complete design, go through bid, procurement, mobilization, equipment lead times. These are, as Mr. Welch said, 2-year, 3-year projects, some of them. So I think we need to have a very frank discussion about which ones of these constitute emergent needs, things that, which ones can possibly be delayed until we get this under the GUSC. But even once it goes to the GUSC, we still have just the solvency issue of where capital funds come from in the interim period while they consider recommending actions to council, just to take care of the system in a more appropriate manner. But one thing I think all of us have likely picked up on throughout the day, you keep hearing certain trends, end of life, corrugated metal pipe that is rusted out through the bottom. I mean, these are plants that have a lot of different components that are at the end of their useful life. And these requests will keep coming in these plants, and it's just a matter of whether or not the replacement can be procured in an expedient manner if there was a catastrophic failure, if we have a backup system that allows us to, be a little, that forces us to be proactive because of lack of backups. I know the head wall is one of those that is particularly important, but also very expensive. So I do think we can get the transfer done, but just the transfer does not necessarily absolve the council and the general fund, particularly entirely of funding obligations possibly.
Understood. I do think we need a thorough understanding of what the effect will be if we were to authorize capital spending and then the assets are transferred into the GUSC, and where that leaves us both legally and financially. I think it's a little bit unclear to me how that will work. So maybe some work needs to be done to explain that to us so we can make a good decision on funding.
So I know one of the things that has always been a goal is to, of course, pay back the general fund for the capital loan. I don't see that in the budget. So, again, we can meet our operational needs right now, but until there's some kind of capital infusion in the system, and as you see, the capital list just continues to grow. I can't tell you with certainty that liquidity event will present itself to allow for that. But we're going to continue to work on the GUSC. I do think it provides for the best management of the system long-term. They're getting up to speed. We're working with engineering and with our contractors and legal team on that. And I think we are still on track to have a funding or a recommendation and summary report back to council probably by the end of the calendar year at worst.
But in the interim, I think we need some advice, instruction on how to proceed in the face of that expected transfer.
I understand. Anything that you allocate, as I said, I cannot tell you with certainty that there will be a liquidity event that will allow you to receive a return on it. So I know that's not exactly the question that was asked, but that's probably the extent of what I can say at the moment. But I'll work to be able to expand on that.
Yeah, thank you.
I have an easier one. I hope that you can answer it. Number 6 bothers me a little bit, which in that one you have the existing grit removal system is non-operational and currently bypassed. What does that mean to the people? What does that mean to the environment?
What it means to the environment is that it's offline. It's just that the trash that's collected in that grit system is just bypassing. So it just puts the extra strain on the pumps that are in the existing system there. So it does require that our operators do a little bit more manual labor stuff to remove some of that debris from the what we call the raceway. And then it also implies us to having to use a little bit more PAC, what we call, to actually treat for the sludge for the treatment facility there. So in essence, it does bump our operating costs up some when it comes to us as far as sludge that we're having to haul off due to that system being down, but it doesn't have any environmental effect on the wastewater that's being treated. We're still meeting our daily ADM requirement numbers there.
So with that in mind, we don't have in certain areas, we don't have a redundancy. If one fails, we don't have a backup. Is that correct?
That's correct in the wastewater treatment phase of things there. Unlike the pump stations where you do have a secondary pump there, This right here is just one unit here. So as wastewater's coming in, that headwork system is filtering out any of the large particles that are being pushed through the systems. And then anything as far as the smaller particles, which is the sand, the shells, and different things like that, is what the grit system is actually collecting there.
So if this puts additional strain on it and it fails altogether, what happens then?
If it fails altogether, we can bypass it, but then once again, that is something that we will end up seeing another increase inside our operating costs as far as how much chemical we're actually using daily to actually treat. Right now, we're probably on average during the growing season is what we call it here. We're averaging about maybe 2 loads every 2 weeks of chemicals that we're using to treat, to make sure that we meet our phosphorus goals there. So.
Mr. Welch,
Using Mr. Schultz's hypothesis, what's the likelihood of sewage getting into the Cahaba?
The likelihood of sewage getting into the Cahaba, that'll be pretty much a catastrophic failure of the system
I'm
itself.
talking about in his theory, you say there's 2 or 3 loads every couple of weeks, but is any of that getting into the Cahaba?
No, sir. No, sir. Everything is still inside the system there, so it's contained within the system.
Have you, obviously, it doesn't look like these are in any order of importance.
Well, yes, I actually started them off at the top as far as the most critical needs there. So the priority starting from 1 to 10 is kind of the priority there.
So you believe that the road work and bridge replacement is more important than number 3?
Well, I think with the road work, that's an agreement between AlDOT. So unfortunately, we have no choice but to fund that one there.
Okay, and are we coming up on their schedule, their calendar?
Yes, sir.
that we need to have the funds available?
Yes, sir. So they actually are looking to let the project here in September. So here next month, they're looking to start bidding the project out there.
And how long before you think they would actually be ready to move dirt?
If I
First of the
had
year?
to say, yeah, probably first of the year.
Okay. Next, are there any funds available after the cost of operations from money you receive from people paying for their sewage?
I have to ask Melinda.
That would fund, any funds available after the cost of doing business from people paying their sewage bills? Is there any money available to be able to go towards any of these projects?
No, I think as Mr. Munger referenced earlier, we're really, I think fiscal '25 with the audit that just came out for a full year, I mean, we're only talking about a couple $100,000 excess revenue over expenses, and that's after we had all of those sewer fee increases. I will say that one of the things that I think to keep in mind, when those rates were increased, they did not consider capital needs, because that was relayed to them that this was only covering operational cost. And so the rates over those few years that it was increased did not take that into account.
and the rates that were adopted do not have any continuation. There's no CPI adjustment. So, of course, most of our contracts, operational included, are pegged to CPI. So even though we may have taken a few steps forward, we now, begin to fall back, again, with limiting factors. But I would like to ask Mr. Welch to expand a little bit to the question that I think was being posed about the headworks. And I know most of you have had a chance to visit the facility and understand the basics of the multi-tiered system and backups and things like that. But I don't want anybody to be under the impression that a head wall and grit screen, which is the initial process, somehow is a straight line to a SSO discharge. You know, we have a number of systems after that. We have a lot of capacity at the plant. And as Mr. Welch said, that one component being offline may lead to stressors further down the chain, but none of that is an uncontained event, correct?
That's correct.
So again, you might have to, for instance, I don't want to speak your language here as far as plant operations, but you might have to add additional chemicals into the treatment process. You may have to recirculate effluent for longer to allow things to settle out. You may have excess sludge, which is materials that cannot be processed by the bugs and bacteria in the plant. But again, that is not a volume issue per se, nor is it uncontained. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. Sorry, I don't mean to sound like a deposition, but it's a big difference, and it's still very concerning, but containment and the ability to fall back on those secondary treatment processes is not what people necessarily think of when you hear failure and sewer in the same sentence. So I just didn't want there to be any confusion on that point.
That's great. So in essence, if the plant was to lose power, no backup generator, we can house sewage at the treatment plant for up to close to maybe 48 hours before there's a catastrophic failure in the system there and stuff leaves. And that's with everything offline.
Very good. I believe Dr. Lopez had indicated that we hope to have the mayor's recommended budget, the first meeting in September.
Yes, that is our goal. I'm thankful that it is a later meeting than normal.
And would you anticipate having meetings with council members to go over that budget in advance of presenting that, or what would be the cadence of how we would meet with you and get questions answered?
It would be my request that we do that after it's been proposed. That way it's clear what's in there, and then we could meet after that. It's going to take a lot of work between now and then to pull it together, so.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Well, anything else from the council? All three of us? Anything from the audience? All the employees?
All five of them.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. How many viewers? 4. Well, thank you for viewing at home.
Wow.
All right.
Some redundancy.
Well, we thank all of you for the work that you put into this. And it's very likely that one or more of us will be in touch with you after the mayor's budget has been presented to us to have conversations with many, if not all of you. So, thank you. We're adjourned.